The rain had been falling since morning, turning the city into a glassy reflection of lights and movement. Inside La Serene, one of the most exclusive restaurants in the city, warmth and quiet elegance reigned. Soft music drifted between marble columns, and crystal chandeliers reflected gentle light onto white-clothed tables. At exactly 8 o'clock, the manager straightened his jacket and whispered to the staff, "He's here." Everyone knew who he was. Adrian Vale, billionaire investor, media-shy, and known for buying silence the way others bought coffee. He entered without ceremony, dressed simply, his presence alone enough to still the room. Within minutes, a quiet announcement spread from table to table. "I'm very sorry," server said politely. "The restaurant has been reserved for a private engagement." Guests protested at first, but refunds were offered generously, apologies layered with charm. One by one, tables emptied, chairs slid back, conversations faded, and the restaurant slowly became what Adrian wanted, his alone. Almost. At a small table near the window, a woman remained seated. She had noticed the movement, the whispers, the unusual hush. She had also noticed the man who walked in, as though the world rearranged itself for him. Still, she didn't stand. She calmly folded her napkin, took another sip of water, and waited for her order. The manager approached her with a nervous smile. "Miss, I sincerely apologize. The restaurant has been booked entirely. We'll cover your bill, of course." She looked up, her expression composed. "I understand," she said, "but I arrived first. I ordered first. And I'm still hungry." The manager blinked. "Sir Vale has purchased the entire evening." She glanced around the empty room. "Then he purchased everyone else's seats," she replied gently. "Not mine." The manager hesitated, then retreated to Adrian's table. Adrian listened, brow lifting slightly. She refused. "Yes, sir." Adrian turned his gaze toward the woman by the window. She wasn't loud or defiant. She simply existed there, unbothered by wealth or power. "Let her stay," he said after a moment. The manager exhaled in relief. Adrian expected irritation. Instead, curiosity settled in. He watched as her food arrived, as she thanked the server, as she ate slowly, thoughtfully, like time answered to her pace. Eventually, he stood and approached her table. "Do you often refuse impossible requests?" he asked. She looked up, surprised but not startled. "Only unreasonable ones." A corner of his mouth lifted. "You realize who I am?" "I do," she said. "And I realize where I am." "Then why stay?" She considered him carefully. "Because being wealthy doesn't mean being alone should be your default." That answer stayed with him. They spoke, first politely, then openly. Her name was Lena. She was a writer, working freelance, more familiar with deadlines than luxury. She had chosen the restaurant not for prestige, but because it was quiet on weeknights and close to her apartment. Adrian found himself telling her things he rarely told anyone. About the noise of success, about the pressure of expectation, about how buying solitude had become easier than trusting company. Lena listened without interruption. She didn't look impressed. She looked understanding. By the time dessert arrived, something unfamiliar filled the air, not tension but ease. When the evening ended, Adrian expected her to leave with gratitude or awe. Instead, she stood, thanked him for the conversation, and wished him a peaceful night. No phone number, no request. That night, Adrian returned to his penthouse unsettled. Days later, he returned to La Serene, not to buy it out but to wait. She didn't come. A week passed, then another. On the third visit, he saw her again, seated at the same table by the window, typing on her laptop, coffee untouched. "You kept your table," he said. She smiled. "So did you." From that evening on, they shared the restaurant. Sometimes words flowed, sometimes silence did. Adrian learned that companionship didn't have to be purchased. Lena learned that behind power could exist gentleness, waiting to be recognized. They never rushed anything. They walked through rain-lit streets, talked about books, dreams, fears. The city seemed smaller when they were together, less demanding. Adrian stopped buying empty rooms. Because the one person who refused to leave had shown him something priceless, that connection isn't owned. It's chosen. And in a world that bent easily to his will, that choice meant everything.